Thoughts shape our reality. Everything we experience in life first takes form in the mind. Before we act, before we speak, before we create or destroy, there is a thought that precedes it. Whether we realize it or not, our thoughts are constantly shaping the world around us. If you observe carefully, you will see that every invention, every great achievement, and even every failure was first a seed in someone's mind. A person who understands this truth gains the power to direct their life consciously, while one who ignores it remains a victim of unconscious thinking. Your thoughts are not just random electrical impulses in the brain. They are the blueprint of your reality. The way you think determines how you perceive the world, how you respond to situations, and ultimately, what kind of life you live. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and negativity, then even the best opportunities will seem like threats. On the other hand, if your mind is filled with possibility, clarity, and confidence, even obstacles can be turned into stepping stones. The difference between a person who thrives and one who merely survives is not external circumstances, but the nature of their thinking. Most people do not realize that they are constantly shaping their lives through their thoughts. They believe that life is happening to them, that events are controlling them, and that they are merely reacting to the situations presented before them. But the truth is, life is responding to them as much as they are responding to life. Their thoughts, consciously or unconsciously, influence the way people treat them, the kind of experiences they attract, and the emotions they repeatedly feel. The mind, if left unchecked, will run on autopilot, leading them into patterns of thought that may not serve them well. If you examine closely, you will see that two people can go through the same event and yet have completely different experiences. One may feel victimized while the other sees an opportunity to grow. The event is the same, but their thoughts about it are entirely different. This proves that reality is not just what happens outside, it is also shaped by how we process it inside. The way you think determines the way you feel, and the way you feel influences the way you act. The cycle of thought, emotion, and action is constantly shaping the course of your life. Thoughts are like the architects of our destiny. Imagine building a house. If the blueprint is faulty, no matter how hard you work, the structure will not stand strong. The same applies to life. If your thinking is chaotic, filled with doubt and negativity, your actions will reflect that instability. However, if your thoughts are well organized, clear and focused, your life takes on a direction of stability and purpose. Before changing the world around you, you must first take charge of the world within you. Many people wish for a better life, but they never pay attention to the quality of their thoughts. They focus on changing their surroundings, their jobs, their relationships, or their circumstances, yet they carry the same old patterns of thinking wherever they go. Even if they find a better opportunity, their mind pulls them back into familiar struggles. This is why success, happiness, and peace are not just about what happens externally, but about how we condition our thoughts. True transformation begins in the mind, not in external situations. Your thoughts also affect your energy and presence. When you are deeply anxious or negative, have you noticed how people around you can sense it? Even without saying a word, your thoughts create an atmosphere. Likewise, when you are joyful, enthusiastic, and confident, others feel that energy too. This is because thoughts are not just confined to your head, they radiate into your environment. The way you think shapes not just your own experience, but also the way the world interacts with you. If you truly wish to change your life, begin by observing your thoughts. See how they arise, what patterns they follow, and whether they are leading you toward growth or limitation. The more conscious you become of your thinking, the more power you gain over your reality. Instead of being controlled by thoughts, you can become the master of them. And when you master your thoughts, you master your life. The mind is a fertile ground. The mind in its essence is like a field. Whatever is planted in it will grow. If you sow seeds of positivity, clarity, and possibility, your life will flourish in that direction. But if you allow negativity, doubt, and fear to take root, they too will grow, spreading like weeds that choke the potential for something greater. The mind does not discriminate. It simply nurtures whatever is placed within it. This is why it is crucial to be conscious of what thoughts we allow to take hold in our inner world. Just as a farmer carefully chooses which seeds to plant, we must be deliberate about the thoughts we cultivate. A farmer does not throw just anything into the soil and hope for the best. He selects the finest seeds, waters them diligently, and ensures that weeds do not overtake his crops. In the same way, if we do not tend to our minds with care, they become overrun with unhealthy thought patterns. And like weeds, negative thoughts do not need effort to grow, they thrive in neglect. If you do not consciously plant something meaningful, something unwanted will surely take its place. Many people struggle with their minds because they do not recognize this simple truth. They are constantly sowing seeds, whether they mean to or not. Every thought you dwell upon is a seed. The more you think about something, the more power you give it. If you constantly worry about failure, you are feeding that seed, giving it life and allowing it to shape your actions. Over time, what started as a single thought becomes a deeply ingrained belief, influencing how you perceive yourself and the world around you. The mind is also incredibly receptive. It absorbs everything you expose it to. If you fill it with uplifting, empowering, and constructive ideas, it will respond accordingly. But if you surround yourself with negativity, be it from the media, toxic relationships, or self-defeating beliefs, your mind will mirror that back to you. This is why it is essential to be mindful of not just your own thoughts, but also the environments you immerse yourself in. A polluted mind is like a polluted river. It cannot provide nourishment either to itself or to others. Another important aspect of this is repetition. Thoughts, like seeds, need consistent nurturing to grow. A single positive thought may not change much, but when reinforced daily, it gains strength. This is how habits of thinking are formed. If you consistently focus on gratitude, success, and possibilities, these patterns become your natural state. On the other hand, if you repeatedly dwell on what is wrong, those thoughts become your dominant mental landscape. Your life, in many ways, is simply a reflection of the thoughts you have consistently nurtured over time. The subconscious mind plays a huge role in this process. It does not question whether a thought is beneficial or harmful. It simply absorbs and acts upon whatever is repeatedly fed to it. If you tell yourself that you are not good enough, the subconscious mind will accept that and shape your actions to fit that belief. If you tell yourself that you are capable, resilient, and worthy, your subconscious will align your actions with that reality. This is why affirmations, visualization, and conscious thinking practices are so powerful. They are methods of planting the right seeds into the fertile soil of your mind. It is also important to remember that just as seeds take time to grow, thoughts take time to manifest in reality. A farmer does not expect a tree to grow overnight. He understands that with patience, care, and consistent effort, the seed will eventually sprout and bear fruit. Similarly, the thoughts you nourish today may not show immediate results, but in time they will shape your future. This is why persistence in positive thinking is crucial. Even if your external reality has not yet changed, you must continue to plant the right seeds, knowing that they will bear results when the time is right. Ultimately, the mind is not your enemy, nor is it your master. It is simply a tool. It will produce whatever you plant within it. If you learn to cultivate it with awareness, discipline, and care, it will become the foundation for a fulfilling and abundant life. But if you leave it untended, it will produce chaos and confusion. The responsibility of what grows within it is entirely in your hands. Most people live unconsciously. For most people, thoughts arise without invitation, emotions fluctuate without control, and actions happen without awareness. They go through life, reacting to situations rather than consciously shaping them. They wake up, follow the same routines, engage in the same worries, and repeat the same patterns, yet wonder why their lives do not change. This is because they are living unconsciously, operating on mental autopilot, rather than being fully aware of their thoughts and choices. The mind, when left unchecked, develops habits of thinking. These habits become so ingrained that people mistake them for reality itself. If someone has always believed that they are unlucky, their mind will continue to reinforce that belief by focusing only on experiences that confirm it. If someone has grown accustomed to complaining, their mind will automatically look for reasons to be dissatisfied. This unconscious way of living traps people in cycles of limitation, making it seem as though life is happening to them rather than through them. When people live unconsciously, they lose their ability to differentiate between reality and their mental projection. They may assume that external circumstances control their happiness, but in truth, it is their inner conditioning that dictates their experience. Two people can face the same situation. One may see it as an opportunity while the other sees it as a curse. The event is the same, but their internal state determines how they experience it. Yet most people never examine their thoughts closely enough to see how their mind is shaping their world. Unconscious living also leads to emotional instability. When people do not take charge of their thoughts, they become victims of their emotions. A single negative comment from someone can ruin their entire day. A past failure can haunt them for years, shaping how they see themselves. A fear that once served as a temporary warning can turn into a lifelong limitation. Without awareness, emotions become rulers rather than guides, leading people into unnecessary suffering. The problem is that unconscious thought patterns do not just affect the mind, they affect the entire nervous system. When the mind is constantly engaged in worry, the body responds by releasing stress hormones. When someone constantly replays past failures, the body reacts as if those failures are happening again in the present moment. Over time, this leads to anxiety, exhaustion, and even illness. People who are unaware of this connection may continue blaming external circumstances for their suffering, never realizing that much of it is self-created through unconscious thinking. Unconscious living also affects relationships. When people are unaware of their mental patterns, they repeat the same conflicts, attract the same kinds of people, and experience the same disappointment. They may blame others for their unhappiness without recognizing the role their own thinking plays in creating disharmony. A person who constantly expects betrayal may unknowingly push people away. A person who believes they are unworthy of love may sabotage good relationships before they even begin. Without awareness, people become prisoners of their own assumptions, unable to break free from cycles of pain. One of the most damaging effects of unconscious living is the loss of personal power. People believe they have no control over their circumstances, so they stop trying to change. They settle for jobs they do not love, relationships that do not nourish them, and routines that do not inspire them. They wait for external forces to improve their lives instead of realizing that transformation must begin from within. This passive way of living keeps people stuck, preventing them from discovering their true potential. To break free from unconscious living, one must first recognize that thoughts are not absolute truths. They are simply patterns that have been reinforced over time. By observing the mind without immediate reaction, one can begin to see the difference between habitual thinking and conscious choice. Without this awareness, life remains a series of automatic responses. But with awareness, every moment becomes an opportunity. Most people do not realize that their thoughts control them because they have never taken the time to observe them. The mind is constantly producing thoughts. Some are useful, while others are completely unnecessary or even harmful. Yet, without awareness, these thoughts dominate a person's life, shaping their emotions, reactions, and decisions without their conscious approval. The first step toward gaining mastery over the mind is to become an observer, to watch thoughts without immediately identifying with them. Observation is not about stopping thoughts, nor is it about suppressing them. Many people misunderstand this and believe that having no thoughts at all is the goal. But thoughts are like waves in the ocean. They will continue to arise. The real power lies in your ability to observe them without being carried away by them. When you start witnessing your thoughts instead of reacting to them, you create distance between yourself and the mental noise. This distance is where clarity and freedom begin. Consider how people react when they are angry. In the heat of the moment, they believe their anger is absolute truth. Their thoughts tell them they are right, that someone else is wrong, and that they must act on their emotions immediately. But if they simply observe their anger, watch how it rises, how it affects their body, how it pushes them toward action, they will see that it is just a temporary state of mind. Given enough time, the anger fades, and they may even regret their reaction. Had they observed their anger rather than acted on it, they would have been in control rather than being controlled. The same principle applies to fear, sadness, and even desires. When people are consumed by their emotions, they lose their ability to think clearly. But if they can observe these emotions as they arise, they gain power over them. A person who constantly worries about the future can begin to ask, what is this worry doing to me? Is it solving my problem, or is it only creating stress? The moment they observe their worry instead of blindly following it, they weaken its hold over them. Observation also reveals how repetitive the mind is. If you watch your thoughts for even a single day, you will notice that most of them are just recycled from yesterday, last week, or even years ago. The same worries, the same doubts, the same desires play on repeat, creating the illusion of fresh thinking when in reality it is just mental conditioning. Recognizing this repetition is crucial because it shows that many of our thoughts are not original. They are simply habits of the mind, and anything that is a habit can be changed. When you become an observer of your thoughts, you also start to notice the gaps between them. There are moments when the mind is silent, perhaps when you are deeply engaged in something, looking at a sunset, or simply taking a deep breath. These gaps are windows into a deeper stillness that exists beyond thought. The more you notice these moments, the more you realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who watches them. This shift in awareness is the foundation of true mastery. By observing your thoughts, you also begin to choose them consciously. Instead of being at the mercy of whatever arises in the mind, you can decide which thoughts to entertain and which to discard. If a thought is unhelpful, such as self-doubt or unnecessary fear, you can simply let it pass without engaging with it. On the other hand, if a thought is constructive, such as an idea for growth or an insight about yourself, you can nurture it and allow it to shape your actions. This is how conscious thinking replaces unconscious reactivity. Mastery over the mind does not come from controlling it forcefully, but from understanding it deeply. The more you observe, the more you recognize its patterns, the more you recognize, the less power these patterns have over you. Instead of being lost in thoughts, you become the one who directs them. And once you learn to watch your mind without attachment, you no longer need to escape from it or fight against it. You simply rise above it. Your thoughts influence your energy. Every thought you have is not just confined to your mind, it influences your entire being. The way you think directly affects how you feel, how you interact with others, and even how the world responds to you. People often believe that their thoughts are private, that they exist only inside their heads, but this is not true. Your thoughts create an energetic field around you, shaping the very atmosphere you carry wherever you go. Have you ever entered a room where someone was deeply anxious or angry, and without them saying a word, you could sense their emotions? This is because thoughts are not isolated. They radiate outward, affecting both yourself and those around you. Similarly, when someone is joyful and at peace, their energy is uplifting, people naturally feel drawn to them even without knowing why. This is why two people can enter the same situation and have completely different experiences. One carries an energy of confidence, positivity and openness, while the other carries doubt, fear and hesitation. Their thoughts shape not just their own reality, but also how the world perceives them. Your energy field is constantly being shaped by the thoughts you entertain the most. If you repeatedly think about past mistakes, regrets or fears, your body and mind will reflect that heaviness. You may feel physically drained, emotionally exhausted, or unable to focus. On the other hand, when you engage in thoughts of gratitude, possibility and inner strength, your energy shifts. You feel lighter, more enthusiastic, and more open to opportunities. The change may seem subtle at first, but over time it becomes the defining factor in how you experience life. This connection between thoughts and energy is not just psychological, it is deeply physiological. When you think positively, your brain releases chemicals that enhance your mood, improve your immune system, and increase your overall well-being. But when you dwell in negative thinking, your body responds with stress hormones, increasing tension, lowering immunity, and depleting your energy. This is why people who constantly worry or hold on to resentment often feel tired even if they have done nothing physically strenuous. Their thoughts are draining their energy. Another way thoughts influence energy is through body language and presence. A person who is confident and positive will naturally stand taller, make eye contact, and speak with clarity. Their presence alone commands respect. But a person who is filled with self-doubt will unconsciously shrink, avoid eye contact, and hesitate in their speech. Without saying a word, their thoughts have already communicated their inner state to those around them. This is why cultivating empowering thoughts is so important, not just for your own well-being, but for how you show up in the world. The people and experiences you attract into your life are also deeply influenced by your thoughts. If you constantly think in terms of lack and limitation, you will find yourself surrounded by circumstances that reinforce those beliefs. But if you focus on possibilities, growth, and abundance, you will start noticing new opportunities, meeting people who uplift you, and experiencing life in a more fulfilling way. This is not magic, it is simply the way energy works. Your thoughts act as a magnet, drawing toward you experiences that match your inner state. This is also why spending time with certain people either lifts you up or drains you. When you are around people who constantly complain, judge, or dwell in negativity, their energy affects you. Even if you try to stay positive, their frequency influences your state of mind. But when you surround yourself with people who think expansively, who see solutions instead of problems, and who radiate enthusiasm for life, your own energy rises. Your thoughts are contagious, just as the thoughts of others influence you. If you truly want to shift your energy, start by shifting your thoughts. Observe what kind of thinking dominates your mind. Are you dwelling in worry, doubt, and frustration? Or are you nurturing thoughts of clarity, strength, and purpose? The more you become conscious of your inner dialogue, the more power you gain over the energy you carry. And as your energy shifts, so does your experience of life. Your thoughts shape your perception of reality. Reality as you experience it is not just a fixed external truth, it is largely shaped by the way you think. Two people can look at the same situation and see completely different things, not because the situation itself is different, but because their minds filter and interpret it in different ways. Your thoughts act as lenses through which you view the world. If your thoughts are clear and empowering, life appears full of possibility. If your thoughts are clouded by negativity, fear, or doubt, life appears to be a struggle. The external world does not change, only your perception of it does. Consider how people respond to challenges. One person may see failure as proof that they are incapable, while another sees it as a stepping stone to growth. The event is the same, but the meaning assigned to it differs based on their thoughts. The first person becomes discouraged, loses motivation, and perhaps gives up. The second person learns from the experience, adjusts their approach, and moves forward with renewed determination. Over time, their thought patterns create two entirely different realities, one defined by limitation, the other by progress. Your perception of people is also shaped by your thoughts. If you believe that the world is full of dishonest and selfish individuals, you will notice and focus on behaviors that confirm this belief. Even when people act kindly, your mind may dismiss it as an exception or assume they have hidden motives. On the other hand, if you believe that people are generally kind and supportive, your mind will find evidence for that as well. This is not about wishful thinking, It is about how your thoughts direct your attention and influence what you notice. The way you perceive yourself is one of the most powerful examples of how thoughts shape reality. If you constantly think that you are not good enough, your actions will reflect that belief. You may hesitate to take opportunities, downplay your strengths, or avoid challenges that could help you grow. In contrast, if you cultivate thoughts of confidence and self-worth, your actions will align with those beliefs. You will take on new challenges, express yourself more openly, and create a life that reflects your inner sense of value. Even physical reality is influenced by perception. Studies have shown that people who expect pain to be intense experience it more strongly than those who expect it to be mild. Similarly, those who believe they will recover quickly from an illness tend to heal faster than those who expect a long and difficult recovery. The mind does not just passively observe reality, it actively shapes it through thoughts and expectations. This is why two people with the same external conditions can have entirely different experiences based on what they believe. Your thoughts also determine how you react to situations. When something unexpected happens, your initial thought shapes your emotional response. If your first thought is, "This is terrible, everything is ruined," your body immediately reacts with stress and frustration. But if your first thought is, "This is a challenge, but I can handle it," your mind remains open and solutions become more visible. The same event occurs, but the internal experience is vastly different depending on the thoughts that arise in the moment. The mind has a tendency to seek out patterns that confirm its existing beliefs. This is why people who think negatively often find more reasons to be unhappy, while those who think positively see more reasons to be grateful. It is not that one person is lucky and the other is unlucky. It is that their thoughts direct their focus. The brain filters information based on what it considers important, and thoughts act as instructions that tell it what to prioritize. If you keep thinking about problems, your brain will highlight more problems. If you focus on possibilities, your brain will find more opportunities. To change your experience of reality, you do not need to change the whole world. You need to change the way you think. By consciously choosing your thoughts, you can shift your perception and in turn, change the way life unfolds before you. What you believe, what you focus on, and what you expect all play a role in shaping your reality. Your thoughts are not just fleeting ideas, they are the foundation upon which your entire experience of life is built. Negative thoughts create resistance and suffering. The human mind is capable of generating an endless stream of thoughts, but not all of them serve you. Negative thoughts, in particular, act as internal barriers that create resistance and unnecessary suffering. They distort your perception, drain your energy, and prevent you from moving forward. Most of the suffering people experience does not come from external events, but from their own mental resistance to what is happening. When the mind clings to thoughts of fear, doubt, regret, or frustration, life becomes heavier than it needs to be. Resistance is the refusal to accept what is. When something does not go the way you expect, your mind may react with frustration, anger, or disappointment. Instead of adapting to the situation, you fight against it mentally. This resistance does not change reality, it only makes you suffer internally. Imagine being stuck in traffic. The situation itself is neutral, but if your mind keeps thinking, "This shouldn't be happening, I'm wasting my time," you create stress for yourself. The traffic does not change, but your inner state becomes chaotic simply because of your thoughts. Negative thoughts also create resistance toward yourself. Many people carry self-judgment, believing they are not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable of achieving what they desire. These thoughts act as invisible chains that hold them back from taking action. Instead of embracing their potential, they resist their own growth, fearing failure or rejection. This inner conflict creates suffering because they desire something but simultaneously believe they cannot have it. The struggle is not external, it is entirely within the mind. When negative thoughts take hold, they create an endless loop of suffering. If you repeatedly think about past mistakes, you relieve the pain over and over again. If you constantly worry about the future, you experience fear even though nothing has happened yet. The mind becomes trapped in a cycle of pain, unable to be fully present in the moment. This is how suffering is created, not by events themselves, but by the resistance of the mind to what has happened or what might happen. Fear is one of the strongest forms of resistance. When the mind is filled with fearful thoughts, it prevents you from stepping into new experiences. You may hesitate to take risks, meet new people, or explore unknown opportunities because your thoughts create endless imaginary dangers. This resistance stops growth before it even begins. The mind tells you, what if I fail? What if I look foolish? And instead of moving forward, you remain stuck in hesitation. The suffering does not come from the situation, it comes from the mental resistance to stepping beyond fear. Negative thoughts also create resistance in relationships. When you assume the worst about others, when you hold grudges, or when you constantly anticipate conflict, you create barriers between yourself and the people around you. Instead of allowing relationships to flow naturally, your thoughts create walls of suspicion, doubt, or resentment. These mental barriers prevent deep connections, making relationships feel heavy and difficult. Often, the suffering in relationships is not because of external issues, but because of the inner resistance created by negative thinking. Even the body is affected by mental resistance. When the mind is in a state of constant stress, worry, or frustration, the body responds with tension, fatigue, and even illness. Negative thoughts trigger the release of stress hormones, weaken the immune system, and drain your physical energy. This is why people who carry heavy mental burdens often feel exhausted even if they have not done anything physically demanding. Their own thoughts are consuming their energy, creating suffering at both the mental and physical levels. To move through life with ease, it is essential to recognize how negative thoughts create unnecessary resistance. Life itself is not always easy, but the way the mind responds determines whether you experience peace or suffering. The more you resist what is happening, the harder everything feels. The more you accept and move with life, the lighter it becomes. Negative thoughts may still rise, but they lose their power when you stop clinging to them and creating unnecessary struggle within your mind. Positive thoughts create flow and possibilities. Just as negative thoughts create resistance and suffering, positive thoughts create flow and open up new possibilities. When the mind is free from unnecessary struggle, life moves with a natural ease. This does not mean that challenges disappear, but rather that your approach to them changes. Instead of seeing difficulties as obstacles, you see them as opportunities. Instead of being stuck in self-doubt or fear, you act with clarity and confidence. Your thoughts shape your experience, and when they are aligned with growth and possibility, life itself begins to expand. Flow is a state where thoughts, emotions, and actions move in harmony. When you are engaged in something you love, whether it is creating, learning, or working on something meaningful, your thoughts naturally align with the task. In this state, there is no struggle, only movement. This flow state is not something external that happens by chance, it is created by the quality of your thoughts. When your mind is clear, focused, and positive, you naturally step into a state of effortless action. One of the greatest benefits of positive thinking is that it shifts your focus from problems to solutions. Many people spend their time thinking about what is wrong, what is lacking, or what could go wrong. This type of thinking keeps them stuck because their mind is focused on limitations. But when you train your mind to think positively, you begin to look for solutions instead. Even when difficulties arise, your first thought is, how can I make this work? This mindset alone creates endless possibilities where others see dead ends. Positive thoughts also have a profound impact on creativity. When the mind is filled with negativity, fear, or self-doubt, creativity is blocked. You hesitate to express yourself, fearing judgment or failure, but when your thoughts are open, curious, and expansive, new ideas flow effortlessly. This is why creative people often describe moments of inspiration as feeling like they are in the zone. It is not luck, it is the absence of resistance in the mind allowing ideas to come naturally. Your interactions with people also change when your thoughts are positive. When you approach conversations with openness and goodwill, you naturally attract warmth and cooperation. Others feel comfortable around you because your energy is welcoming. On the other hand, if your mind is filled with suspicion, irritation or defensiveness, people can sense it even before you speak. The way you think determines the way you connect with others, and positive thoughts create deeper, more meaningful relationships. Even your body responds to positive thinking. When your mind is in a state of ease, your body relaxes, your breath becomes steady, your heart rate is balanced, and your immune system functions better. Studies have shown that people who cultivate gratitude, optimism and joy tend to have better overall health. This is not a coincidence. It is the natural result of a mind that is not constantly generating stress and resistance. The more you think positively, the more your body aligns with a state of well-being. Life itself starts to unfold differently when you train your mind to think positively. You begin to notice opportunities that you previously overlooked. You attract people and experiences that match your inner state. You become more resilient, handling setbacks with grace rather than despair. This is not about ignoring reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about choosing to see the possibilities within every situation rather than being blinded by fear or doubt. Positive thinking is not just about feeling good, it is about creating a mindset that aligns with action, growth and expansion. When your thoughts are supportive rather than limiting, life moves in ways that feel natural and effortless. Instead of pushing against life, you move with it, allowing doors to open where they once seemed closed. The more you cultivate positive thoughts, the more life itself responds in kind, reflecting back the possibilities you choose to see.